and I will lead the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I think, as is tradition, I would like to begin the meeting by opening it up for public comment. And Jack, if you could help me kind of with the host duties of identifying whether we have any public comment, that would be great.
So I don't see any right now, but anybody who wants to give public, there we go. Ms. Walters, you are up first. Ian, I'm not sure that I'm able to unmute anyone here. I'm just getting the chat option in the attendees screen. If you're able to, for the sake of speed, maybe you could unmute Ms. Walters.
I'm not sure that I am able to either. Oh, there she is.
There we go.
Hi. So I'm just here to support Kathy Agnew's, I guess, being chosen for this position. To the extent you are interested, I've known her for many, many years, and I find her to be extremely bright, very well informed. She's very congenial and professional. She handles complex tasks with ease, such as the Porch Fest, which is a monumental undertaking that she does very well. I've been involved with that with her as a sponsor. She knows a tremendous number of people in her ward and is very well respected by everyone. And she is not someone who's interested in aggrandizement. She's really has no ego. She just wants to do the right thing, which I think is something you should be looking for in this position. And particularly because she's very, can be, maintain a civil atmosphere, which I think we're lacking sometimes in our local government. And she plays a mean hand of poker. I don't know if that matters, but she's quite a good poker player. I personally don't think you could do better. And I used to live in your ward. I live in a different ward now, but I'm still very friendly with everyone in that neighborhood. And I think she would do a wonderful job.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other comments from the public at this time? And the public will have another chance to comment before we actually take action on this matter.
I see Ms. Webb, you're up next.
Hello, thank you very much for giving me another chance to talk about Kathy. I just, echo all of the things that I talked to you guys about last night and Linda's fine endorsement of Kathy as well. I do think one issue that was brought up last night that is very important is to, honor the election, and what the third ward did at the last election was we elected a Democratic commissioner. And I think, Barron and Chuck are very fine gentlemen, and I hope that they, continue to be active in our township, as I know they will. But, Kathy is a Democrat. That's what we elected. And besides all of her, excellent qualifications, I think that that should be honored as well. On the wawa issue that was brought up last night, Kathy's absolutely reflects what the wishes of the third ward are, which is that we, are not interested in having that where they want to locate it. I love a wawa sandwich just as much as the next person, but it's the wrong place for that kind of a store. And Kathy would represent us the way that we want to be represented. So I hope that you all, I ask you to please cast your vote for Kathy as our next Ward 3 commissioner. Thanks very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public at this time? With that, I would like to move on to the next item, the only item on the agenda, which is of course to consider appointing an interim commissioner to fill the current vacancy in Ward 3. I know we already heard from each of the applicants last night. I will not make them repeat themselves, but I do want to give each of the commissioners, sitting commissioners, another chance to make additional comment if they so choose. There's no science to this. I was just going to go by ward order if that works for everyone. So Jack, you're number 1.
Sure. I'll, I guess, repeat what I said last night, which is that the residents elected a Democrat in where there is a qualified candidate from the same party of that was elected by the Democrats. I'm just not going to be willing to flip a seat. So I'm going to be voting for Kathy. I do want to address the issue of her, I guess I shouldn't say her involvement, her husband's involvement in the Wawa case. Not that she didn't handle the question perfectly ably herself, but I do have a little bit of history that I want to bring up. And that's basically this. Rich, Commissioner Booker, you literally filed a lawsuit against the township in order to prevent Penn Medicine from coming in. And on every single Penn Medicine vote that I was present for, you voted in spite of that. So I just don't see the conflict. I mean, certainly there is no legal conflict. There's nothing there to talk about, but I just don't see even the appearance of a conflict that you can talk about in this instance, unless you would like to recuse yourself going forward from every Penn Medicine vote, which I know you're not going to. And I frankly don't think you should. You're not obliged to. You don't have a pecuniary interest one way or another. The reason that that's being raised in this case is because in spite of the fact that you're talking a good game about lacking partisanship and everything else, Ms. Agnew is the Democratic candidate. And in spite of the fact that the voters elected Democrat, you'd like to find a way in order to flip the seat without having to go through the voters, which comes back to what I started with last night, which is that it is fundamentally undemocratic to do that in this case. I'm going to vote for Ms. Agnew. I hope that Barron runs. Mr. Madden, I hope that you run. I think that everybody who is participating tonight would be an excellent commissioner in their own right. I can't flip a seat when the voters have told us what to do. I think it's unfair. Next time around in 6 months, they may tell us something different, and that's up to them. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Larkin, and Commissioner Booker. I think you have the floor.
So in response to raising the issue of the wawa litigation, that was raised by the candidate, Ms. Agnew. It was Ms. Agnew who said she had no interest and said that there was no interest in her family. And I merely pointed out that there is an interest. So it was raised by others, not by me. Secondly, my involvement with Penn was merely to appeal improper procedure as well as other substantive issues related to land development and approvals. So it is, I have every right to do it, and I did, and it's got nothing to do with anything here. It was the candidate that said that there was no interest. It wasn't me, so I was addressing that. On the other issue, I completely disagree with our two folks who were from the public as well as what's been stated. The point is not to appoint to this position a political operative. And what we have here, we have two heavily involved Democrat Party, local party operatives. You have Ms. Lau, who is a treasurer for one of the opponents. She's the opponent of one of the Republican commissioners who is running, or not treasurer, she's a campaign manager, heavily involved in many donations as well as other elements of the Democratic Party. We have Ms. Agnew, who's applying for this and who has since 1989 been involved in Democrat Party politics and even flew back to Iowa to help with the Hillary Clinton campaign and made a point of putting that on her CV as she applied for this job. So what we have here, and Jack, you're right, you know, it is what it is, but it is a setup by the Democrats to install a Democrat operative. And it was a setup back in January to install Ms. Lau, who was a Democrat political party operative, in case this very issue came up, to control the vote and install a person who would be a fourth vote or a fifth vote for Democrat Party positions. And you're allowed to do that. I believe that in this case, that is wrong. I believe our constituents should have the person who is not going to be partisan and who is going to do what's best for the township. And we have other people that I feel would fulfill that role better and who aren't purposely being installed to further Democrat national, state, and local party agendas. So it's clear what's happening here. It's clear it was a setup in January. It's clear Ms. Agnew is a political party installation. And I think it's going to be detrimental to the township because she doesn't have the experience of the other two candidates. She hasn't been a person who has been intimately involved with the operations of the township and the school district. So I disregard the premise that because there was a Democrat elected that we need to replace it with a Democrat. I reject that. That's not what has to happen. But I recognize that that's what the Democrats on the board, the majority, want to do, and that's what they plan on doing, and that they won't be swayed. I just hope the public will note that. And when the other folks who are very high, are more qualified and more involved and more knowledgeable, are not given the same kind of consideration. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Booker. Commissioner Borowski of Ward 4.
Thank you, Ms. Lau. So I will be brief. And so this role is definitely a stewardship role. I will steal that, Commissioner Farhi. If you're going to quote me, I will quote you. You said it last night that this is a stewardship role. I also did a little research. I listened to what all the three candidates had to say again today. And I appreciate what you all bring to the table when it comes to this. Some of you I know very well. Chuck, I know you very well, worked very well with you, I think, when we were on the school board. Barron, I've worked with you. Kathy, I don't know you as well, which is ironic because you're the Democrat. I don't know you as well. But I thought that everything that each one of you said, would make you a wonderful candidate. I went back and also revisited where we were in 2018 when I was elected to this board, installed as president, and immediately overseeing a 3-3 board with a vacancy that needed to be filled. A vacancy that we tried to fill that we as a board could not fill. We did not have a vacancy board chair. And then we could not find a vacancy board chair that we could all agree upon. And I literally touched and reached out to and talked to probably every single person in this township that I knew at the time to try to find someone that I felt would be acceptable to both sides, to the Republicans and the Democrats. And found a gentleman who came in well recommended, and he promptly, as Commissioner Larkin noted last night, chose a Republican for a seat that had been held by a Democrat, and it flipped the board. And for a really long time, it was fine and everything, it was definitely tumultuous, but overall, I would say things worked out well. When I also look back and looked at what happened in 2017 with Commissioner Farhi when he was seated, and went back even as far as 2015, when the seat was vacated, the third ward seat was vacated by then Commissioner Spengler, and there was a need to seat someone in that role. Looking at all three of those things, the deciding factor, most prominent deciding factor, was whether or not that candidate wanted to run, the candidate that was going to be selected. And last night, as I went back and listened, I only heard one candidate that said they did not want to run, that they were definitely interested in putting themselves in this role as a steward of the ward, to work on behalf of the neighbors, to not work on a campaign at the same time, which is a difficult thing to do. I think Commissioner Abel and I can speak to that, and anyone else who has had to serve and run at the same time. But I heard particularly from Mr. Gemmer, who I have a lot of respect for. Baron and I have had a lot of conversations. He is right. I have asked him multiple times to serve on planning commission or zoning, because I respect his expertise, and I think that he would be an excellent voice in any one of those positions. And as a commissioner, if he chose to run for commissioner. But I heard the voice of a change agent, someone who wanted to come in and shake things up, somebody who wanted to come in and make change, who identified multiple things, and which caused me to form my first question last night, which was, what do you find inspiring about the township? Because I felt like all I heard was what's wrong and what needs to be fixed. This is a position for 6 months, this potentially, or maybe 7, I forget what we decided last night. This is a position to come in, to listen to the neighbors. For as much as I respect former Commissioner Enderle, I think that there's definitely been a void, that the neighbors do need someone to just listen to them and to work on the issues, and not come in with an agenda to change things or to consider it a platform to run. So for this evening, that is where my decision lies. I will be selecting the candidate that has said absolutely they do not want to run. Because when I went back and looked at 2015, the overriding issue that surfaced, and I read some quotes from people I respect greatly, former Commissioner Clark. The concern was that there was a candidate being installed that was currently running or choosing to run. And I have a concern about that. I don't think that the voters and the residents I should be selecting somebody to have a platform that and other candidates would not be benefiting from. So that will be the basis for my decision. The only candidate I heard say they do not want to run is Kathy Agnew, and that is who I will be selecting this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Mulroney?
Hi, thank you. I'd like to again thank all three folks who have stepped up. I want to say thank you. I appreciate your contribution to our community and all the ways that you serve. Just to echo a couple of my colleagues' points tonight. One is that I do believe that this was a seat that Democrats elected by a clear majority. So I am moved to appoint a Democrat to fill out the term. And I also appreciate that it would be to fill out the term. And then allow the voters' voices again to select whether or not they would like to choose a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent for the seat for a full 4-year term. So those are my 2 writing issues. Commissioner Booker, I can appreciate that you are making, very clear that this is a political move. I do agree with you, but we are in a political system. We were all elected based on a political party and our political platforms. So I don't see that that's a bad thing. I think it's how we all got here. It's and I've noted on several meetings that you even wear political gear as you sit as a commissioner with a sweatshirt emblazoned with the date of the founding of the Republican Party. So all of us are political. It is how we got here. I don't see it as a bad thing. So I am going to honor the votes of the majority of the 3rd Ward who selected a Democrat. I believe that all 3 candidates are so wholly qualified for this position that it's not choosing party over quality. I think that Kathy Agnew is going to be a thoughtful and respectful colleague to all of us. Again, I just want to thank everybody who has come here. I want to thank all of us for I think this has been a pretty civil discourse on how we're going through this process. And I've not been through it before. So I was glad to see that we have gotten this far, and hopefully we can walk away and continue to work with each other civilly as colleagues for the work of this community. So Kathy Agnew will have my vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Abel of the 6th Ward.
All right, thank you. I too want to thank the 3 candidates for coming out last night and putting themselves out there, talking about what their interests are and answering our questions. I wish we would have been a little bit more respectful for not only the candidates, but for the people watching. If we weren't going to elect somebody last night, I don't think we needed to stay 2 hours if people's minds were made up that they were only voting for party. I have no problems voting along party lines. I've made it a point in my 4 years that I vote for a bipartisan leadership board. I work in a bipartisan manner. My vote last night in support of Barron and in support of Chuck were because I thought the issues raised, they had the 2 strongest positions, backgrounds, and experience. Now that we're here tonight, again, I have no problems voting for a Democrat. And I don't know Kathy. I hope that she holds true to her word and that she's willing to work with everybody. And so I congratulate her early and will vote in support of her, knowing that she is, she has the votes and that she is willing to serve the 3rd Ward. So I think both Barron and Chuck would have done a great job, and I hope that Kathy comes in, honors her word, and that we have a great relationship and that we can get things done in a positive way for the community. So those are my comments, and look forward to the vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fari.
Thanks. I just want to start off by saying yesterday I misspoke, and I do want to set the record straight. I said the resumes were posted for 24 hours prior. That was not the case. It was 72 hours. But needless to say, I personally don't feel that was enough time for the public to vet all of the candidates. So with that said, I am not going to make a motion. But I would like to know if it would be beneficial for the chair and this board to table this meeting a couple of days and have a Zoom style town hall with some of the Ward 3 residents to get the feedback from them, very similar to what Tom Lowry did. And I spoke with, or I spoke initially, then at the vacancy, and then prior to the vacancy board, I spoke to Tom at that town hall meeting for about 3 minutes. And then he said it was prefer if I wasn't there and I left, but that's just something if the chair and the board sees to table it, I think getting the most feedback and information is important. That's how I went through this process.
I'll second that.
So hold on, Rich, I have not made a motion. I am not going to make a motion. If you'd like to do it when I'm done, that's fine. But that is how I went through this process. That is my comfort level. You know, I'm hearing people saying, on one hand, you know, because they're not running, that's why we should put them in. Back in 2008, when Commissioner Higgins stepped down, Candace was I guess, the preferred candidate, and she said she was unsure. I believe that was the case. I know Matt Marshall said he was not going to run, and that was it John Smith who was the vacancy chair? That was his final reason. So he says, I'm hearing, you know, one of the, but to me, that's irrelevant. I think that you have a vacancy, you need to find out who's going to fix this thing, and you're there for 6 months or 2 years. The residents don't want someone to have to come in twice. There shouldn't be 2 learning curves. There should be 1, if that. Again, I think with Baron Gemmer, you don't have a learning curve. But I believe all the candidates are qualified. I'll end this by saying they are all qualified. Thank you for putting yourself out there. But Baron, you are, in my mind, the most qualified and least political candidate for the Ward 3 residents, which is why I am most comfortable voting for you. And I was the only, you know, and I voted for you and only you last night. But as much as I would love to be an idealist, I have to be pragmatic about where we're headed. So if Baron, if you are not appointed by this board, and this board does vote more on political lines, I will concede to the comments made by my fellow Democratic colleagues, and I would see Ms. Agnew appointed. I would vote for her. So if we are able to take 2 votes, if we vote in the same order that we did last night, where it was Baron, Kathy, and Chuck, my first vote would be to you, Baron, but I would acquiesce with this board and my guest, the vacancy chair, and vote and appoint you, Ms. Agnew. But that being said, thank you again. This is not a fun process, an easy process. This is my 3rd time doing it, and hopefully we don't have to do this, but the residents of Radnor Township do not have to not have representation or go through this again. But thank you, Ms. Lau, and I appreciate it.
Move the table to provide for time for additional meetings with the constituents of the 3rd Ward to get their input.
Any second? Seconded by Commissioner Fari. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
We have Commissioner comment.
Oh,
I think we all said it.
Don't generally have commissioner comment for ancillary motions, although of course Ms. Lau is free to do whatever she wants. It's her meeting.
Well, this isn't ancillary. This is a substantive.
Motion to table, it's ancillary.
Commissioner Booker, you may comment if you wish.
I agree with Sean that there should be an opportunity for the public to meet with the candidates and to talk with them. Otherwise, it's really just the people who are following very closely to the township, or people that have been specifically called on to provide input. It would be one thing if we were having public meetings and there were people there, and you would have a better argument to say that there's ample opportunity for people. But we were doing this via Zoom. There's still partial lockdowns. There's still people that that don't have the same technology or knowledge of how to be involved and to participate in these meetings. So I don't think it would hurt anything, and I certainly think it would be helpful, and it would make this board look good, or to provide that. So I would, I made the motion, so I'm all for a table till next week, and get some more opportunity for these candidates to talk with the public.
Can I, pardon me, Madam Chairman, Chairperson, woman. So yeah, I'll echo those comments. I just think it's good for best practice for you, Janie, if you want to just see what's on their mind. But that's how it was done for me. I don't think it can hurt. We don't have anything pressing on the agenda over the next, say, 4 or 5 days. So I think you'd be able to do it without, even though you would be extending the vacancy and the lack of representation. I don't think it would hurt anything. I actually think it would be good, because things that may not have come to light may come to light when they're talking to you and they're talking to the other candidates. So just an idea, it's a suggestion. I don't think it hurts. It may not move the needle, as this board likes to say, but it is definitely something that I think would be a benefit for you, this board, as well as the constituents. So I would be in support of it.
So Commissioner Larkin, is it also protocol to allow the staff and the public to comment at this time before we vote on this motion?
Janie, can I have 2
yes,
seconds?
I'm sorry. Yes, of course.
No, thank you. I'm not going to support this motion. You know, I have a lot of friends or neighbors in the third ward that reach out to me, and the one thing that they are asking for is representation, communication, understanding. They need a place where they can go to find information, and they shouldn't be going to every other commissioner. I mean, they can if they want to. They should keep those connections, but they should have somebody that they know is representing an advocate and a voice for their ward, where they know where to go to for the information. And they don't have that right now. And I don't think, I think based on the comments, they felt they haven't had that in a while. So, nothing I've heard from the 3 candidates, and particularly from Kathy, who seems to have the votes, would lead me to believe that we need to do further vetting. I think it's probably good practice, if this were to happen again, that there is some sort of community meeting with the neighbors of the particular ward in the future. I think that is, it's a good idea. I don't think it's necessary. And even if you do it right now, I'm not sure you're going to get people to come out in the current environment. So I don't know what benefit it may or may not provide. But as of right now, I'm comfortable doing the vote tonight, and don't think we need to prolong this.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments?
I'd just like to point out that we've had 31 days. We're now at the very tail end of this process, and this is being suggested more or less for the first time at the very end of the process. I don't think that that's coincidental. If we wanted to do this, we could have started this when we announced on the 12th of April, and nobody wanted to do it then. So to answer specifically your question, Ms. Lau, I don't usually call for comment at all before ancillary motions. If we're going to do commissioner comment, I'd call for everybody else though as well.
Yeah, Jack, I'd just like to respond to your comment. If the names weren't put out there 72 hours prior, I would say you're right. You got a great point. They were put out there 72 hours prior, so I don't think the residents could vet them and to come back to us. There is enough information.
We do.
Pardon?
The residents don't vet. We do. We're responsible for this.
No. I think I think that we serve at the because of the residents, and I think that it's important that we serve them and we get enough information from the residents that are not in our ward to make sure that they are represented the best. So I would disagree with those comments. Commissioner Abel, your comment, this could be done via Zoom. The motion's going to fail, so we might as well just have it. But those are my 2 points.
Thank you, Commissioner Borowski.
So just to Jack's point, Commissioner Farhi, this process is laid out quite clearly in the charter. We've followed it. As you've noted, you've been through this now, this is your third time. If you felt that it was important for us to have a meeting, I would have been glad to hear that from you probably at the very beginning of this process. That is something we probably should have put out there so that residents could be made aware. Jack is right, we are at the tail end of this process. And I think now to try to gather people and get them to participate in something that ultimately is our decision, no matter what, is not good governance. We are responsible for this decision. It's time for us to make it.
Sure. And just sorry to go tit for tat. You are correct. If I would have known that the names would have been only announced 72 hours prior, I would have said we should have a special kind of meeting for that. In regards to this is in the charter, I have the charter right here. I read it often, but I don't think many of the constituents read the charter often, nor that's kind of our constitution, but they just want representation. They want the best representation. They are asking people not in their ward to give them that representation. That is why I believe this board, and when I mean this board, also you, Chairwoman Lau, the vacancy board, gather the most information from all the constituents, which we are trying to have best represented. Thanks.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Hearing none, I suggest that we put this motion to a vote. So the motion is to table this item, appointing an interim commissioner for the 3rd Ward, to a later date to allow this board to gather more information from the public as to their preferences. Everyone in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
I see 2 aye votes, so the motion fails for lack of a majority.
Well, you
Before-
can call for nay, so that everybody can.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Rich, I mean, come on.
Everyone opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. I believe I heard 5 nays. So the motion
You vote
fails.
too. Jane, hold on, Janie. Janie,
Yes,
you vote
I said
too.
nay.
Okay.
I did. I said nay.
Okay.
So I heard 5.
All right.
So the motion fails.
Mhm.
Before we move on, I'd like to.
Point of order. Does Ms. Lau vote on that?
She's the 7th vote. Yes.
I don't think that she votes on a motion to table.
This is the
She would.
vacancy
There
board.
is-
She's the chair of the vacancy board.
Yeah.
That is a procedural board issue. I think she votes only on the, to break the tie on the vote for the appointment.
Are we
Yeah, she
fighting
runs the
over
meeting.
whether it's 5-2 or 4-2? Does it really matter?
I'd like to solicit, John Rice, if you would, does she vote on non-substantive procedural matters of the board?
We
She
don't
votes
do filibuster motions. We don't have filibusters here.
She votes on everything that comes in front of this board. This is a vacancy board. She's the chair. If someone wants to make extraneous motions, whatever they are, Ms. Lau gets to vote on them. Include,
What are you basing that on?
it's based on the fact that it's a vacancy board. It's a 7-member board. It's the vacancy.
Is it in the charter or anything? I disagree with that. I disagree.
Rich, what's the basis of you saying she can't vote? Where's that
Because
from?
the vacancy board chair votes on the one issue, which is the replacement, the appointment, not on a motion to table.
She would vote on continuing the meeting. She would vote on a motion to table. She would vote on a motion if someone disqualified. She would vote on anything. Whoever that vacancy board chairman is would vote. I don't know why you would want to prevent her from voting. I don't
I don't
understand.
think that would be, that's correct. She has one vote that she has, not on any other board matter. She's
There's
not a
no
member of the board.
There's
She's
no
not a member of
basis.
the board. She can't vote on board issues.
There's no basis in the charter for that statement. She gets to vote.
There's no basis for your contention either, but
Right.
let it
You
go to the meeting minutes that it was 5-2 and Rich Booker disagreed with that vote and said it should be 4-2.
Can we move on now?
This is an issue we should resolve in case this kind of thing comes up. There could be other issues like this. You could be right. I just show me the authority you're relying on. It's your opinion is just, it can't be just opinion, John.
So
So
Rich, are you
noted.
saying that, like the Board of Health chair doesn't get to vote on anything at that board? Or, I mean, every board and
No,
commission has
no,
a
I'm
chair,
saying
and the
that
chair is an active voting member of the board.
For
This
this
is the
board,
vacancy board.
this
We are
is
not the
vac-
Board of Commissioners plus a vacancy vote. We are the vacancy board tonight. And it's a full board with 7 members, 7 voting members on all items. It doesn't make any, I mean, unless you can show me anything that specifically says otherwise, it's not logical. Your argument is not logical.
I think your argument's not logical. I'm asking you to show me anything otherwise. My view is Ms. Lau has a vote on one issue to break the tie for the appointment. All other board issues are to be voted on by board members only.
This is a vacancy board,
that
not the
makes-
Board of
That makes
Commissioners.
more
Not
sense.
the Board of Commissioners. Can we note in the minutes that Rich is having a fit over Janie's vote, and please
I'm
move
not having
on?
it. I'm making a
May I-
point.
I'm calling
making a
for point
point.
of order. I'm calling for point of order. I
I
believe that
called-
we are this,
called
I
the point
believe
of order already.
I'm calling the point of order now.
I called the point
And
of order.
I am calling point of order.
Lisa got muted.
We all got
Let me-
muted.
I'm not muted.
So point of order, I don't think that this conversation is serving the residents of Ward 3, and that is what we're here to do tonight. So can we please move on?
Madam Chair, I would recommend you move on. Mr. Booker made his point. We disagree. He has an opinion. He's a lawyer. I have my opinion. I'm a lawyer. That's what we do. But you, as the chair of the vacancy board, 7-member vacancy board, get the vote on anything that comes before it. So.
Thank you.
And Janie,
you,
you
Mr.
are a
Rice.
lawyer. Yeah, Janie, you are a lawyer as well. So.
Yes,
you-
we have plenty of them tonight, I think.
Too many, I think.
So I before we move on, I do want to take a moment to share my views before we vote on the main topic tonight. First off, like everyone else, I just want to thank each of the 3 applicants for stepping forward. I appreciate that it's no small thing to volunteer to do this. And I'm truly appreciative of that. And on that note, I'm truly appreciative of all of the sitting commissioners for your service to our township. And I would like to thank you for, giving me this small opportunity to serve our community as well in tonight's role as chair of this vacancy board. So thank you for that. I had the chance to sit in on the meeting last night. I heard wonderful oral presentations from each of the 3 applicants. I got to hear their responses to each of the commissioners' questions for them. I also reviewed their written application materials, and all of that has led me to conclude that each of the 3 applicants are qualified in their own way to serve as the interim commissioner for the 3rd Ward. I will also note that each of them have already made tremendous contributions to our township. And, I was just so heartened to notice that each of you also went out of your way to praise the other applicants. And, that for me assured me that each of you would work very well with the rest of the board if you were appointed. So, for me, what this comes down to is, are we going to respect the will of the voters in Ward 3? We are here tonight because former Commissioner Enderle resigned. When he ran in 2019, he ran as a Democrat. The voters of Ward 3 elected him to the position as a Democrat. And I do not feel comfortable subverting the will of the voters in this instance. The voters had every expectation that former Commissioner Enderle would serve the full 4 years of his term. He was unable to. And I think our charge as the vacancy board is to ensure, to the best of our ability, the continuity of representation that I think Commissioner Booker so eloquently raised. So for me, that is the dispositive factor here. And I understand the full implications of my rationale. If it had been a Republican commissioner who had stepped down and a qualified Republican applicant was willing to serve in the interim role for that board, I would vote for that qualified Republican applicant. So I know there are probably still those who disagree with me, with my rationale, with my vote. I would urge them to refocus their energy on the special election on November 2nd, which is less than 6 months from now. You can do everything in your power to make sure to help elect your preferred candidate. I think it's important that Ms. Agnew, the Democratic applicant, is the only applicant who has committed to not running in that special election. I think that's important because by appointing her to be the interim, we would not also be conferring the advantages of incumbency to a candidate in the special election. And therefore the special election can be played out on a level playing field. And the voters will get to have their say again in a very short period of time. To me, that's important. Elections matter. This is America. And even though the events that led up to, January 6th, what actually happened in DC just yesterday, even though, that requires us to state the obvious, I think even we as regular citizens, when we have the opportunity to either reaffirm or undermine democratic principles, we should always choose to reaffirm them. And we should not open up this vacancy, board process to political opportunism. I just think the voters of the 3rd Ward deserve more than that. I became a US citizen in 2010 when I was 34. It was the fulfillment of a lifelong dream. And, during my naturalization ceremony, I swore an oath to defend and support the Constitution. I take that oath very seriously, and I intend to honor that oath with my vote tonight. Thank you. Do we have any?
Yeah, I have one more thing, just to respond to Maura. The shirts that I have that have 1854, that is not a political shirt. That's not a political statement. That is 1854 is the founding of the Philadelphia Cricket Club. It's America's oldest country club, and that is the founding. That's what that date means. It's not a political. It's not a political message, and it
doesn't have the Cricket Club logo on it.
No,
it just has the date of the founding of the Republican Party.
All right.
No, it's not.
It's what it is, Rich. It's what it is, Rich.
It's not.
Okay.
Point of order. Point of order. Let's just vote.
It's not. I'm telling you, it's not. Maura.
Okay.
I have
point of
clear
order,
stuff if you
please.
want.
Yeah,
point of order. This is not relevant.
So, do we have any staff comment?
I don't think we have any staff, do we?
Peggy,
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, Peggy and
Incognito.
No, I'm
They're
kidding.
incognito. Do we have any further public comment before we vote on the main motion of the night? Ms. Moore.
Hi, my name is Kathy Moore. I am actually a resident of Ward 3. I just wanted to take 1 more minute of your time and speak out and say that I have known Kathy Agnew for 18 years. I have always found her to be a thoughtful, considerate, determined, community-minded, and above all, very fair person. She is an inclusive individual who has brought our whole town together with the tradition of South Wayne Porch Fest. What started out a few years ago as a simple idea has grown into a far-reaching event with a broad reach. Kathy's training as an attorney has made her evaluate things, pardon me, from all sides in an unbiased way to arrive at just conclusions. All of these are reasons why you might vote for Kathy. Let me take 1 minute to tell you a more personal side about Kathy. Kathy's always the first neighbor to greet anyone new to the neighborhood. She will include everyone in a party, a dinner, a local game night, or any reason to gather with friends to get to know people better. She's always the first call to offer a hand when times are tough. She's the kind of friend and person who's not afraid to have the tough conversations and tell you if you're wrong about something, which I think is a really, really important quality. All in all, she's a great, truly wonderful person who I'm lucky to call a friend, and I feel that she will represent us all and we will all be the better for it. And that is all. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
I do have one quick point of order. I apologize. I think that we need nominations and a motion and a second.
And I would nominate just to do the 3 in the same order as yesterday.
And I'll second.
Just keep it consistent.
Everyone in favor?
So we vote. So I guess we would vote, right?
Yeah, motion is seconded.
Okay.
Everyone in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I believe that was 7-0. So should we consider each of the applicants in that order, the same order that we went last night? So do I have a motion to appoint Baron Gemmer, the interim commissioner for Ward 3?
I will so move.
Is there a second? Seconded. Everyone in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 I see 3 aye votes. The motion fails for lack of a majority. Do I have a motion to appoint Kathy Agnew, the interim commissioner for Ward 3?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Everyone in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I believe I saw 6 votes. So the motion passes. Do I have a motion? Congratulations, Kathy.
Congratulations, Kathy.
And I'm so sorry.
Thank you very much. I really do. I appreciate it. And really, Baron and Chuck, I'll be calling on you. And I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I hope with what you've given me and trusted me with the representation of the 3rd Ward, I hope I meet all those expectations. Thank you.
Thank you, Janie. Janie, thank you. And
You're
Baron
welcome.
and Chuck. Thank
Do
you.
we have any additional motions?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me to participate. And I think that you made a fantastic choice. And Kathy, I know you're a woman of your words, and I'm sure you will do a fantastic job as the interim. So
Thank you, Chuck.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd like to echo Chuck's comments and say again, congratulations, Kathy.
Thank you, Baron.
Thank you all. If there are no other motions, then I will open it up for, any final public comments. Ms. Pilling. Jack, are you able to unmute her?
She is unmuted. Sarah?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There she is.
This has been an interesting process to observe. To comment on one commissioner's comment that one of the candidates she thought was there to shake up the township. I'm a firm believer that the township needs to be shaken up. My other comment is perhaps you've all been busy and you have not heard that the CDC has released the mask mandate. effective Friday. So I hope, although we may do 6 feet apart inside, which we're not going to need to, that the township will begin to hold meetings again in person. It's been very frustrating to attend all these meetings and to not, although I always have the agenda in front of me because I take notes on every meeting, something comes up and you can't respond. And I heard Mr. Larkin say on the first meeting that you were no longer taking written comments. And that's the only way we've really, for most of this, been able to make a comment. So again, my expectation is that you will return to in-person meetings or that you will give it serious thought. The CDC's statement is, if you've been had the vaccination, you can take your masks off, except for prisons, homeless shelters, and any kind of transportation, trains, planes, or buses. If you've not been vaccinated, the president urges us to be vaccinated, and 12-year-olds and up can be vaccinated now. Wear a mask if you choose not to be vaccinated. But let's get these meetings back in person, because that's participative democracy, and this is not. Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
add that hospitals, you have to wear your mask in hospitals still as well.
I have just one more comment. I am disturbed that Maura doesn't believe what I've said, but but it's not indicative of what the commissioners are or what this body is. It's indicative of the times that we live in, that the truth of it is 1854, all of the gear I have with 1854 is Philadelphia Cricket Club gear. It has nothing to do with any political party. And there's no subversive, there's no secret message, there's nothing hidden. And what that is indicative of the times that we see some kind of conspiracy outside in any little signal. I assure you, it's got nothing to do with it. And Ms. Lau also entered into that same thing, talking about those trespassers at January 6th, and then what happened last night. I don't even know what January 6th and what last night has to do with what we're doing here. I didn't understand why that was raised, but again, what it does indicate.
I'm sorry, I just have to clarify. I wasn't talking about our own meeting. I was talking about the GOP caucus when they removed Liz Cheney. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When they removed Liz Cheney. Okay. Well, there's some clarity on that. Again, removing Liz Cheney has nothing to do with Radnor Township. It's a Republican leadership position in the House. 1854 has nothing to do with Radnor Township and what we're doing. And what it shows is the deep political operative motivations and thought process that drove this meeting tonight. And
Rich, I would like to respond to you.
It's intensely harmful, and it is a negative for the township, and it reduces our effectiveness as a board, and it detracts from our serving the public. And I would ask our proud
Majority.
Democrats who say they're going to work to actually work together and to stop looking for controversies and to stop looking for political, especially for political hay. It shows that we're not, if you continue to do this, I don't know how we're going to work together.
Rich, I did not mention that what was on the sweatshirt that I've seen you wear to a meeting. I said that there was something with some Republican swag on it. You knew immediately what I was talking about. So you are putting out a quiet call to your party representation at a public board meeting, and the optics are bad. So I mentioned it because you've been making accusatory statements all night about the partisan role that we're playing when we've all played it. We are here because we ran on party tickets. So the underlying effort to seat board members is a political process. And you wear something to our meetings that reflects your party.
It's not true. Again.
Well,
that's
but it's
just
the
not
optics
true.
of it. You knew exactly what I was.
Motion
I'm gonna cut both of you off.
Adjourn. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Actually,
We have additional
we
public
have
comment.
one more public comment.
Okay.
Ms. Webb.
I'm going to be brief and positive. And thank you all for making the right decision tonight for our ward. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the thoughtfulness, the consideration, and acting of the majority to, vote for the will of of what we want in our ward. I really appreciate the reasons that you voted for Kathy, and I'm glad that you did it. And I think, and I don't need a response to this, and I hope I don't get one, but I think it's really hypocritical for the most political person on that board to be tossing out the word political operative to a citizen who volunteered to help our ward, to help our township, and to try to denigrate her for his own political reasons. So I'd like to see that stop. And thank you, Kathy, for stepping forward, and Chuck and Barron as well. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you very much for your deliberations tonight.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Well, again, since my name was invoked in that, I've been in local politics.
Kathy, you vote. Kathy, you get the vote.
So
Motion to adjourn, and you have to get sworn in.
No. Is it still the vacancy?
One more thing.
Point of order. There's a motion on the floor. Point of order. There's a motion on the
Board is talking about.
Everyone in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye. And raise your hand. Aye. Goodbye. Thank
Kathy,
you.
Okay. Bye.
Well, I haven't been
Janie.
sworn in, so I'm not sure I can vote there.
Okay.
No, not yet.
You'll be
We'll
sworn in
get you
soon.
next time.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
Thank you
you.
all.